You are about to enter a world rarely discussed at dinner tables, yet quietly present at life's most pivotal moments. A world where a single signature can unlock a fortune, or freeze it in time. A world where trust is currency, and hesitation can cost thousands. Tonight's journey does not take place in a distant galaxy, nor in a haunted mansion, but in conference rooms, hospital corridors, kitchen tables at 8:47 p.m., where opportunity knocks, and sometimes no one answers. You're about to meet the unseen guardians of agreements, the silent witnesses to power of attorney, real estate empires, last wills, and new beginnings. But beware, in this dimension, the difference between thriving and merely surviving is not talent, not luck, but infrastructure. Because somewhere between the missed call, the delayed follow-up, and the unreturned voicemail, revenue vanishes. And in its place, regret. Tonight, we explore the thin line between chaos and control, between the overwhelmed notary and the architect of precision. You're traveling through another dimension, a dimension not only of stamps and seals, but of systems and strategy. A journey into a land where every call matters, every minute counts, and automation whispers in the shadows. You've just crossed over into the Notary Inside Show.
Peace, peace, peace. This is your international sales and marketing hitman, your humble hip hop sales coach, Tiger Toledo, and you already know what it is, man. You rocking with the best. You heard part 2 of You're Not Broke, You're Addicted to It. There's a lot of psychology that I've been doing some deep research on this, and I'm glad to share it with you guys because I have a fond fascination with the way people think, the way people buy. Why do people buy this type of product versus why people buy luxury goods? And it's unbelievable why and how these companies play in these roles. By the way, some news tips that are out right now. You guys will probably be getting a check from Google soon. They lost a lawsuit. They have to pay out because they were using addictive methods to keep you addicted to their site, which is YouTube and other platforms that they may own. Facebook also lost that lawsuit, so they will also be cutting a check. Now, for Google, I don't know what it is for Facebook, but for Google, they're going to be cutting a check anywhere from $1 to $100. So I think you will be receiving an email. There's really nothing you have to do. As long as you were using Google since 2017, you should be all good with that. You may just need to give them your bank account or PayPal or something for them to wire those funds for you. Now, Facebook also have to pay out because they were also using addictive methods. See, this is what I try to illustrate to you guys. I get it, man. You know, we would love to live in a world where it is fair, it is kind, and people do things on the up and up. But that's not the world we live in, y'all. These guys will hire. I remember when Facebook, in their very, very early days, they started hiring retired advertising executives. And I had to think about that for a second. I was like, why would they do that? Right. And the reason why is because they knew trigger points on how to keep people on the platform. If they could keep you on the platform, they could sell more advertising. That means there's more eyeballs, they make more money. Same thing with Google. Now, if you guys remember, there was a time on Facebook where you would not get the little red notification of these messages that were sent to you. That was due to those retired, you know, advertising executives. They came up with that. They said, let's make it bright red. Let's make it pop up on the little widget that's on their phone, and then that will bring them back to the website. I have turned that off since then because it's very distracting. No matter how much I may want to look away, it's very distracting to see that bright red mark on Facebook saying that you have Facebook. And then a lot of times when you go on there, the message isn't even for you. It says at everybody. So it's not even a personalized message. So a lot of the social media notifications I've turned on. Very big distraction. If you are distracted or you find yourself on social media for a very long time, I would suggest turning off their notifications, or even putting all the social media sites in one folder. That way it's not in your face all the time. It's just a way to curve around that. So I came across some interesting news today about millennials and Gen Alpha and Generation X, right? And now it's real interesting that there is a progression going on, and you won't believe it, right? So, but I'm gonna tell you about it. So Generation X monetized influencer marketing, right? Millennials took it and ran with it. Generation Z is used to seeing that now. So they're almost expecting it. And then Generation Alpha will not know of a time that their favorite influencer doesn't sell something. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because studies have shown that people are more connected to the content creator and the influencer more than the brand now. There has been a huge shift in that. Usually it was a trusted company. Oh, you trusted this company, you did, business with them. Now, with the influencers and content creators, people are buying stuff directly from them or because of their recommendation. That's why you're probably seeing the CEO of McDonald's now eating a Big Mac, or somebody from Costco eating a hot dog, their own hot dog, or a CEO from Wendy's. You're going to see a lot more of that. No longer can they hide behind a brand. They want to see a face. They have to pivot and give more of a human connection to their brand now. Now, what does that mean for you as a notary? What that means is, I know it may feel uncomfortable to get in front of a camera like this. Some of you guys do it very well. Some of you guys may struggle with it. But your recommendation, your face, your voice has impact. People want to see you. They want to hear from you. Your voice may be soothing to them. And then when you make a recommendation or you come out with your own product, they're more likely to purchase the product off of your recommendation than them seeing an ad on social media 25 times. Just your one mention. That is huge for your notary brand. That is huge for your personal brand. Attorneys will reach out to you. Notaries will reach out to you. other professionals that will reach out to you because you now have a vehicle like the Notary Insight Show. You now have a vehicle where you can push your products and it doesn't feel like there's no human connection behind it because they watched your content before. So keep that in mind. Really consider creating your own show. Now, look, you don't have to show your face on the show. Look, I can block out my face. You can still hear my voice. It doesn't have to be visual where they see you. Maybe you're having a bad hair day. Maybe you're just self-conscious about yourself like that. I get it. But you're going to have to start moving in the way that the world is moving. I watched a video yesterday. By the way, today is my wedding anniversary. Shout out to my wife. We have been married now for 20 years. We've been together for 21 years. We've been married now for 20 years. Ecstatic about that. But yesterday, I was on Instagram and there was a girl in Chicago talking about this. She was just ranting and raving about this cocktail martini bar, which is called the Alderman. And she talked about it so well and so highly that I wind up looking it up. And I saw that this spot looked really, really cool. So today I'm going to take, tonight I'm going to take my wife to that martini bar and we're going to check out some of their specialty drinks. They got mixologists over there. They're going to have some drinks that I've never tried before. That shows you how powerful influencer, creator, marketing, content creators are. That small recommendation will most likely get this bar over $100 and something in drinks and tips. Think about that. Think about that. So we're going to go into our topic, but before we do that, let's take a quick commercial break.
As a part-time traveling notary with a full-time job, balancing everything can be tough, especially when you're getting calls at all hours. That's where Sabrina AI comes in. Think of Sabrina as your personal assistant who answers every call, handles appointment bookings, provides quick answers to common questions, and filters out non-urgent inquiries. Sabrina works 24/7 so you never miss a client opportunity, even when you're tied up with your full-time job. With this system, you can keep things running smoothly without the stress of managing calls yourself, giving you more time to focus on your work, clients, and everything else life throws your way.
Scan the QR code for a free demo.
Okay, y'all. So this is part 2. If you guys did not see part 1, check that out. We had special guest Jessica Clairville. We did a extraordinary pass or trash website review. This is probably the first website that actually passed. It was interesting. I was talking to Tech about this not too long ago. It was a website from a notary out there in Oakland, California. And go figure, Tech is from Oakland, California. And of course, you guys know Silicon Valley is not that far from Oakland. So I said, did you notice that trend that the first website that actually pass or trash is out there in Oakland, California, near Silicon Valley? See, the technology that's radiating and the knowledge that radiates out there is unmatched. And that's why Sabrina does so well, is because Tech has insights that is radiating from Silicon Valley, and he sees things that we don't see. I'm here in Chicago, blue collar state, doesn't move like that. Tech is out there in technology land. He sees things that we just don't see. Like he counts clicks. How many people that you know creating a website count clicks? He wants to know how many clicks you had to hit in order to get your desired result. Next level with that. So let's go into the hidden science being addicted to broke. Now, we're going to get a little deep here, but this is going to help shift. This is part 2 of a 3-part series. So let me remove this real quick. I'm going to move the logo over. Matter of fact, let me remove the logo. Okay. So the pain feels safer than unfamiliar success. Now, I know I'm guilty of this because I grew up in the hood. I grew up in the ghetto. I ain't going to sugarcoat it. I had a great childhood, by the way, but I did grow up in the hood, and I saw a lot of things, and I've been exposed to that type of environment. Now, if you grew up in the hood, you may suffer from these symptoms, by the way. I'm not going to put it on you like that, but I'm just saying, if you recognize these symptoms, right now is the time to start making a change in your identity. So if someone grew up around a financial stress, which was the hood, uncertainty, which is the ghetto, survival conversations like, we can't afford that. If you hear that over and over and over and over again, it starts to play into your psyche, especially if you're a young child. Their brain wires this as normal. Your brain starts to say, well, we can't afford that. We can't afford it. You'll start saying that before you even try to figure out a way on how you can afford it. I always tell my kids, don't use the word can't. Can't is an immediate disqualifier. It disqualifies you from ever even seeking out solutions on how you can solve that problem. So the brain starts to wire this as normal. So when you start making money or gaining control, the system doesn't celebrate. It feels very unfamiliar. It feels very unfamiliar when you start seeing success. My brother, 12 years my senior, I love him to death. Every time this guy starts seeing success, he sabotages himself. Do you know somebody like that? Is it you? Do you find a monkey wrench? Like everything is going sweet. You find a monkey wrench out of nowhere and throw it into your machine just so you could experience some damn chaos again. The hood has done that to many, many individuals. We call it hood struck in the hood. So it panics. The brain starts to panic because stability feels unfamiliar. I'll repeat that. Stability feels unfamiliar. The person becomes too used to a chaotic life. You ever met a guy or a girl that loves to be in, they don't love to be in a toxic relationship, but for some reason, they're always choosing the person that will put them in a toxic relationship. And they want to know why. See, the unfamiliar, the unsafe equals unsafe to the brain. So what happens is they subconsciously undercharge. So if you're wondering why you're undercharging your clients, because you're feeling like you should not be making that type of money for the type of service that you are providing. Unconsciously, you want to overwork. You feel like the more you hustle, the more you grind, the better the results is going to be. And studies have shown that is not true. Because if you were to hustle and grind for every single dollar, there's no way you would become a billionaire or a millionaire. Subconsciously, they stay disorganized. They prefer to stay disorganized. I'm talking about, the pen, paper, notepads all over the place. You go to their desk office, it is an absolute clutter. They can't find a pen. They're reaching into the side of their car looking for change because it's just chaotic. They avoid structure. That's another thing. Structure feels very unfamiliar for them. Not because they're lazy, but because they're trying to return to what feels emotionally familiar. I used to think there was no better place in the world than Brooklyn. Brooklyn was where the world circulated around. Like there was no better place than my block until I moved out of New York. And then I started traveling. But that unfamiliar place felt uncomfortable. When I would go to Manhattan or I'd go to Queens, I would hang out there or whatever. But boy, when I got back on the block, though, it felt good. I felt like I was home. And that happens with a lot of other people. So recognize that identity. See if any of those traits look familiar to you. And let's start to change that. The struggle equals worth conditioning. There are many people out here right now that believe that if they're not struggling, there's a lot of church folks out here that feel like if they're not struggling, God doesn't love them. Like they feel like hard work, sacrificing, pushing through the pain is a badge of honor. You know those people. Man, that person's a hard worker. Let me tell you a story. A good friend of mine, Jay Pizzle, owns a window company right now. He was the top salesperson in the window company. I mean, he worked hard, he sacrificed, he pushed through the pain, he was a grinder. The owner of the window company said, "Hey, look, man, I'm going to give you a window company. I'm going to create a subsidiary window company for you to run." And my buddy worked even harder. He grinded even harder. He worked long hours. He was making all the phone calls. He did everything right. Until it was time for him to have that conversation with the owner of the window company and said, "All right, I'm ready. What do we have to do now?" And guess what the owner of the window company told him? He said, "Dude, I can't lose you, man. You're our top performer. If I give you a window company right now, you'll become a manager and you won't be the one selling the windows anymore. And that's going to be a huge drop in my sales." This is the game they play. But they never want to commend you for working smarter, for creating ease, for building systems. There was an article that recently came out that they were having a conversation with Bill Gates, and he said that I'd like to hire lazy people. They asked him, why do you like to hire lazy people? He said, because they don't complicate things. They look for the easiest way to the destination. They look for the easiest and most simplest way to the goal. So what happens when you internalize the struggle equaling your worth? You start to internalize that. If it's not hard, it's not valuable. You know people that think that way. I've thought that way before. If it's not complicated, if it's not hard, it's not valuable. So their brain begins to reject things that say, that feels too easy. I remember when I first started in the notary business. And the sales was coming in, the phone calls were coming in. I'm like, this is too easy. I may have tried to sabotage myself a couple of times off of that. Truth be told, I said, this feels too easy. There got to be something off with this. This can't be right. And let me clarify this. It's not your fault. I don't want you to put blame on yourself that this is your fault. It's not your fault. You have been conditioned over time through school, through your parents, through family, through your social peers to think like this. Society has programmed you to move in this certain way for them to profit from. So don't go beating yourself up over it, but keep this in mind. You do have the power to change this, though. I remember having a conversation with Tech, and I was telling them, in my entrepreneurial career, the hardest thing for me was selling my own products. I was very comfortable selling other people's products. I had a very hard time selling my own products. And I couldn't understand it. And it took me years, y'all. I kid you not. It took me years to come to the understanding on why I was having that problem and what I had to do to change that. See, when I sold other people products, I wasn't emotionally attached. I didn't take it personal. But if I was selling my own product, I took it personal. So when a person told me no, I took that personal. When a person told me I'll call back, I took it personal. I did not have the same approach as if I was selling your product. And it took me years to overcome that. Hopefully it doesn't take you years. Hopefully you can knock that out in one try. Let's go on to the next one. Identity protection. This one is very dangerous. Here's something people won't tell you. The struggle has become their identity. I got buddies in Brooklyn right now that they don't know that if you were to tell them face to face, you're addicted to the struggle, you're actually the one that's keeping yourself broke, they will have a million reasons why the outside forces are controlling that. And somewhat it is true. And then there are other things that they can actually combat it with. But if you were to talk to them, they're going to tell you, I'm the one who grinds. I'm always busy. I'm doing everything myself. There are plenty of notaries that are addicted to that. There are notaries that are on YouTube right now, Instagram, TikTok, that take pride in speaking about how hard they grind from 6 in the morning to 11 p.m. at night. How busy they are, how they're putting Post-it notes in scan bags and FedEx runs. They're glorifying this industrial age type of grind. I do everything myself. Nobody else helps me out with that. They want you to look at them as a superhero. Daddy. Hey, buddy. So if you remove that struggle, you remove the identity. Take that struggle away from them. What do they have now? And that creates an internal question. Who am I if I'm not struggling anymore? Woo, that's a big one, y'all. Who am I if I'm not struggling anymore? Ask yourself that question. Who am I if I'm not struggling anymore? You're not struggling for your bills anymore? You're not struggling to make your car payments? You're not struggling to make your rent, your mortgage? You can't have those conversations with those people that also adds to your struggled conversations. You're not having those conversations anymore. Man, things are hard, man. How are you doing? Man, keeping my head above water. You know those conversations, damn it. That misery loves company conversation. It's the worst. Man, my relationship sucks. Yeah, mine's too. Man, I hate my job. Man, I hate my job too. Your circle has to change. A drug addict that goes to rehab, that it is now clean, can't go back to hanging out with his druggy friends. An alcoholic that has been detoxed and is no longer alcoholic can't go out with his friends that drink and binge drink all the time. This is an identity crisis. This has nothing to do with the products. But because the familiar makes them comfortable, they go back to that friend. They go back to that complaining in a circle. They go back to talking to that person that helps them feel good about their struggle, even if it costs them money. I hope this is helping somebody. I hope this is helping someone. I know it is, because God wouldn't put it on me to create these slides if it wasn't going to help someone sometime. It may not be helping anybody today. It may not be helping anybody tomorrow, but somebody is going to come across this show, this particular show, and it's going to rescue them. And shout out to you. Send me a comment. Love is love. I really hope it helps you like it helped me. Micro self-sabotage loops, the invisible behaviors. Now we're going to get a little bit surgical. The fact is this: nobody wakes up and say, I want to be broke or I want to stay broke. Everybody has good intentions when they wake up. I want to have a great day. I want to make as much money as possible. I want to be there with my family. I want to eat good. I want to exercise. They have good goals, y'all. Even the evil people, they have good intentions. It's just skewed. It's just damaged. So instead, it shows up in tiny behaviors like not returning high value calls fast enough. This is where my brother Andre Hatchett says you're overthinking it too much. Stop overthinking. Just make the call and then flow. Trust yourself, man. Accepting low fees just to stay busy. I know plenty of notaries that will accept low fees just so they can look busy for the gram, just so they can make content on YouTube. They accepted a $50, $30 signing just so it could look like they're busy. And then they want to flex on you. Be careful with them people, man. Be careful with those people. Avoiding systems because they'll do it later. Sabrina was designed to remove you as an owner dependency business. That bottleneck. You know what the bottleneck is? Chaos. Being the bottleneck is being addicted to chaos. Most successful business owners do not like being the bottleneck. As soon as they feel like they're the bottleneck, they're looking to either hire somebody or they're looking to implement some type of infrastructure in their business to remove themselves from that, because that is a stressful position to be in. That's where burnout happens. That's where inconsistency happens. That's where revenue leaks happen. So staying reactive instead of structured is their mojo. What they do is they form a pattern of staying stuck. And because it's subtle, they never question it. Listen, this is not fluff. This is deep research that has been done. And I deep researched this specifically for notary professionals. I wanted to create something that would help the notary professionals as much as possible, because I do recognize there is an identity crisis going on, and specifically in this industry, where there is a lot of lack of self-confidence, where they do not feel like their service that they're providing is worth the amount of money that they're doing, but they're really busy. They're constantly ripping and running, driving all around town, doing all of this stuff, but they don't feel that they're worthy enough to either create a signing service of their own where they're providing assignments for other notaries. They don't feel that they're worthy of charging more for their services, although they're giving white glove servicing. It's sad to see. One of the ways that you can start changing that is by taking the revenue leak scorecard. Check this out.
I thought I was doing well in my notary business. I was busy. My calendar was full. Money was coming in. But something felt off, like I was working too hard for what I was earning. So I took the revenue leakage scorecard. It showed me exactly where money was slipping through my business, missed opportunities, weak follow-up, pricing gaps, and retention blind spots I didn't even realize I had. It didn't just give me a number, it gave me clarity. If you're serious about scaling and not just staying busy, you need to see where you really stand. This isn't a quiz, it's a diagnostic, and they only review 10 completed assessments per month. If you want to operate like a CEO and not just a technician, take the assessment now. Because in business, clarity changes everything.
That's the first thing you could do, is take the revenue scorecard and see where you're losing money. This scorecard is really, really good. I'm telling you, this assessment is really good because it also shows you where you are being emotionally drained. Oh my gosh, like it has helped so many notaries thus far. It's only been out for a short period of time. I created maybe about 2-3 months ago. The results have been astonishing. What notaries are realizing about their business and how they're operating their business is incredible. Because what if I told you that you are potentially losing about $60,000 per year by the way you're operating your business right now? Would that make you want to take the revenue scorecard? What if I told you that you're losing $5,000 every single month? What if I told you that, hey, look, you're on the brink of burnout. Let's pivot. Let's take a left turn over here so you don't experience that. Because guess what happens when you experience burnout? You're not answering the phones no more. You're not servicing clients. Like, you're taking a complete break. That means no revenue is coming in at all. Our goal with this assessment is to help you avoid that. There's also another part which is called Man in the Mirror. Shout out to Michael Jackson. It's a reflection of your identity and how you are approaching the business. The worst that can happen with this assessment is that you recover money. That's the worst. So I implore you to take that revenue leakage scorecard. That assessment will change your life. And it's free. It'll take about 2.5 minutes. It's free. But the insights that you'll get from it is just absolutely out of this world. I took it multiple times. Okay, so dopamine from chaos. Yes, it's real. I knew that I was getting different dopamine hits. But before we go into that, let me explain to you what dopamine is. Dopamine is a chemical. It is a happy chemical in your brain. And it's like a little message that says, that felt good, let's do it again. So it's these dopamine hits that Google and Facebook are being sued for because they understood the chemical nature of the brain to make you feel like I need to go back on the platform and see what's going on. That little red circle that said that you have messages was a dopamine hit. It is a dopamine trigger. So when you saw those, hey, you have 5 new messages, you're like, oh, I feel valuable. I feel needed. Somebody wants to talk to me. Somebody's reaching out to me. Let me go back on Facebook and check out what's going on. Dopamine hit. That felt good. Let's do it again. So chaos can become a chemically rewarding hit. I know I experienced this for sure in the beginning. Constant phone calls. My phone was just ringing off the hook. I loved the chaos. I loved when I was getting phone calls while I was on another sales call. I called my phone the money phone because anybody that called that phone, that means money was coming in. I didn't even think about that I was losing phone calls and I was losing clients. I just wanted a chaotic phone call situation. So constant phone calls, missing calls at a signing, missing calls in the shower, missing calls here, missing calls there, but I'm on phone calls too, and I'm busy as hell. Last minute bookings. Hey, I need this assignment done, in the next hour. Zipping out of the house to go take care of that. Not even really valuing my own time. I'm taking off to do a last minute booking. No guardrails whatsoever. Ripping and running around the entire city and surrounding suburbs of Illinois. Like I felt like I was that dude. I felt like I was that man. Constantly busy, phone ringing off the hook, last minute bookings, ripping around. I'm over here at Calumet City. I'm over here in Flossmoor. I'm over here in Homewood. I'm over here on the north side. I'm over here on the west side of Chicago. I was glorifying that chaotic busyness. And what that did, it created dopamine spikes in me. What it told me was, I'm in demand. Yes, I'm in demand. That feels good. Dopamine spike. I'm needed. Look, my phone, it keeps ringing. I'm needed. Dopamine spike. I'm important. Dopamine spike. But in reality, it's a loop of high activity and low control. High activity, low control. How many phone calls was I missing? Tons. I was missing tons of phone calls. If you look at it as each phone call is potentially $150. Each phone call is potentially $150. How many phone calls did you miss today? Calculate that. I can tell you comfortably that I was missing at least 12 to 15 phone calls per week. Easily. 12 to 15 phone calls per week. So let's just say 12 phone calls. That was an additional $1,800 I was missing every single week in potential revenue. By the month out, that's $7,200 that I've missed out on. Let's see what it would be in a year. $86,400 that I missed out in that entire year. If it was consistently 12 phone calls equaling $150 per phone call. Listen, that's nothing to sneeze at. That's private school for my kids. That's vacations with me and my wife. That's revenue. That's money that could have went to other notaries that would help feed their families. So when things get quiet and structured, it feels boring. So they unconsciously start to create chaos again. You remember we talked about the monkey wrench? You look for a monkey wrench. You're lifting up every rock that you can find a monkey wrench under so you could throw it back into your calm and relaxed system. I'll tell you the weirdest thing about Sabrina. because Sabrina starts handling all the phone calls, it felt weird as hell that I wasn't getting all these phone calls. The orders were coming in, but because my phone wasn't ringing off the hook anymore, it felt foreign. I was so used to that chaos. But I had to pump the brakes, and I was like, okay, that means now I have time. I have energy. Let me refocus my energy and my time somewhere else that can be very useful. And I started focusing more of my time into the Notary Inside Show. And it has been paying off tremendously. We get about 39,000 views per month just off my channel alone. 39,000. We broadcast on multiple channels: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I put out at least 100 posts per day. I couldn't do that if I was answering the phone calls all the time. I get to talk to you guys. I get to read your comments. You guys give us great suggestions for the next show. You tell us how it's helping out your notary business and notary career. Shout out to my girl, LaShonda Collins. She came in. She was working with the Eric Thomas in Chicago this past week, the 1% conference. And she reached out to me and said, hey, I'm in your city. Can we hang out? And we hung out for like 2 hours. And she lives in Jersey. That's the type of impact I'm talking about. People come from all over, from Florida, California, Jersey, New York, and they'd hit me up. And I'm like, you helped me out so much. I want to meet you in person. Pull up. I'm not hard to find. $86,400, y'all. I missed in potential sales. So let's get down to some nitty-gritty here. Let's look at some real breakthrough. Let me give you some solutions on how we're going to change this identity shift here. It's very important that we were able to identify these patterns. Now we're going to clip up and take shots at it. So on the left side, you see that there is a chaotic scheduling. It's messy and it's confusing. Phone ringing, missed calls, calendar extremely disorganized. I know notaries that have double booked appointments. That's embarrassing. You have 2 appointments going on at the same time. I don't know what else screams out unprofessional than that. That is just super disorganized. You're trying to catch up on invoices. You're doing last minute bookings and you're scrambling. Time is, you're tired. You're going to every fast food. Like, you guys don't realize how a chaotic lifestyle can affect your life. Do you understand that because you are answering the phone calls and you're ripping and running and you're doing all of this stuff, that your eating habits take a hit? Your eating habits now are shit. You're eating fast food, Burger King, McDonald's. You're on the run all the time, so you're not getting a nutritious meal. So you're eating garbage. because you're living a chaotic life. Now, on the right side, you see more of the structured scheduling, which is more like what Sabrina would do for your business, the infrastructure. It is going to organize your calendar so you're not double booked. And if you want to take some time off or whatever, that it will automatically configure it with your calendar. Also, because Sabrina is answering all of your phone calls, you can now do more assignments, not you personally. You can now deploy and dispatch more assignments to other notaries to run appointments for you. So that's more organized. Now you have more confirmed appointments because you're not losing any phone calls. Every phone call is handled with white glove certainty. What are you going to do with all that time? That's the question. That's the question. Now that your identity is shifting, what are you going to do? See, you don't fix this by learning more or watching more videos or trying harder. You fix this by installing a structure that overrides your behavior. I'm going to repeat that because it bears repeating. You fix it by installing a structure that overrides behavior. If you know that you are not motivated to go into the gym and work out so you can get that physique, that slim toned chiseled body that you want, find a structure that overrides that behavior. What structure would that be? Hiring a personal trainer. Guess what that personal trainer is going to do? He is going to create a regimen for you. He is going to create a schedule for you. He will call you. He will call you to make sure that you're on your way. That is a structure that overrides your behavior. Sabrina AI is a structure that overrides your behavior. I don't feel like taking a phone call today. Sabrina don't care about that. I'm having a bad day. I don't feel like, taking this phone call. Sabrina is neutral to every phone call that she receives. Because the system doesn't care about your past, your emotions, or your habits. This enforces a new way of operating until it becomes your new normal. Now you start getting dopamine hits because you see appointments being filled into your calendar. No more phone calls coming to you unless it's an emergency or the person personally wants to talk to a live agent. But for the most part, every phone call is being answered. Now that's your new dopamine hit. You're seeing new appointments scheduled on your calendar without you touching anything. It's a no-touch scheduler. Dopamine hit. You get to the client's house and they say, "Oh, I love all the updates that I was receiving. It's letting me know that you guys received my payment. You're going to be coming out at this certain time." It was perfect. I didn't even have to talk to anybody. Dopamine hit. Hey, do you guys have a card? I'm going to recommend you to more and more of my friends because I think they would really love your service. Dopamine hit. Your dopamine hits are no longer attached to chaos anymore. Study this, screenshot it, share it with your notary friends. Because there's a lot of notaries out here that are experiencing identity crisis in here. As I mentioned before, there are 1.25 billion to 1.5 billion documents notarized every single year in just the United States. That breaks down to 3.4 to 4.1 million notarizations per day, which also equates to 40 plus notarizations every single second. There are 4.4 million notaries in the United States, but you're only really competing with about 500 to 200,000 notaries. All of those other notaries are just casually doing the business, very casually. Like they answer the phone. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. They really don't care if they're getting paid. They're doing it for friends and family. They're not taking this business serious. This is a $1 trillion business economy that you're in. There's only 200 to 500,000 real players in this game. And you know what those notaries have to do? They can't even do all those assignments themselves. They have to outsource them to other notaries. I'm showing you guys how to sit on top of the mountain. You don't have to climb it. We got the helicopter. The chopper will take you up to the mountain. You don't have to start at ground zero. And anybody that tells you you need to start at ground zero, tell them eat a dick. I started off at as a notary agency. I didn't even have my commission or my stamp or my journal yet. I was farming out notary assignments way before I got my notary commission. And the 1.25 and 1.5 million documents that are notarized, those are only the ones that are recorded. There are so many what word can I use? There are so many people that are not being serviced that have not been recorded. There are people that live in rural areas that just could not find a notary that would actually come out to them. There are people out there that need documents notarized and they didn't even know that traveling notary service was a thing. Whoever's telling you that you have competition in this industry is lying to you. There's more work than you can possibly handle. And the good ones, the really good ones, you're not going to be able to do all those assignments yourself anyway. You're going to have to farm them out. You're going to have to deploy other notaries to take care of those assignments. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope this session has helped you out. There's a part 3 to this. Tune in next Wednesday. We're going to cover part 3, and I'm going to give you some real actionable solutions that you can implement real time to get your notary business popping. Listen, forget about starting at zero. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. If you enjoy the grind, you enjoy the struggle, hey, this whole presentation was about you. But for those that don't enjoy struggling and living that chaotic life, and they want to go from beginner to elite, I'm going to fast action your progress. So tune in next Wednesday, and then we're going to cover that. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, peace, love, happiness, and I wish you guys much cash flow. You heard?
You know what's wild? The biggest threat to a notary business isn't competition, it's missed calls. While you're driving, while you're notarizing, while you're living, revenue is ringing, and no one's there to answer. That's why we built Sabrina AI. Not another app, not another chatbot. A trained AI phone receptionist engineered specifically for notaries. She answers your business line instantly, qualifies the caller, schedules the appointment, handles the follow-up, all while you stay focused on closing deals. The smartest operators aren't working harder, they're building systems. And when a client calls a Sabrina-powered notary, it feels structured, it feels premium, it feels inevitable. Right now, most notaries are still doing this manually. The ones booking demos, they're building leverage. If you're serious about running your notary business like a CEO, not an operator, book the demo. Watch Sabrina answer a live call and decide for yourself whether you want to chase income or have it captured automatically.